This is a video to show how to make a comfort bird using a coping saw instead of a bandsaw. I thought there might be a lot of people like me that doesn't have a bandsaw but would still like to do this very simple carving project. This is really easy to do. I highly recommend it. This is a small, simple video to show how to do a comfort bird. You can find the pattern online. You Google wood carving illustrated, and they have a free pattern that you can print. Usually what people do is they have a bandsaw or a scroll saw. I don't have any of that kind of equipment. I'm more of a whittler than what you'd call a wood carver. I use simple tools. So normally a person would take and draw this part of the pattern, and then they would take the bandsaw and just cut right on the line that they drew with a black fine permanent marker. But I don't have a bandsaw and a scroll saw, so I'm making this video to help other people like me that doesn't. So the first thing you do, you print the pattern, and then you cut it out, and you mark it with a fine black marker. You have to make sure the wood you're using is thick enough to put the side piece on. After you get that part cut out, you will be adding the side piece. My wood isn't quite thick enough, but that's not a problem. After I get that part cut out, all I need to do is glue a little piece of wood, just enough to cover from here to here, to make it deep enough. That won't be any problem. Just add some wood glue and clamp it. These red lines shows where I'm going to use a handsaw and just cut off the extra. I cut near the black lines, but I don't cut too close because I tend to cut saw crooked. I don't know why, it always comes out a little bit of an angle instead of straight. So I'll cut that excess wood off this way. I'll saw that, and then I'll saw down straight through there to get rid of all this bunch here. And then I will whittle, use my knife and whittle away all the extra wood up to that black line. So then you get the first half of your shape done. Then after you do that, you will put the side pattern down, trace around it. I used a handsaw and removed the extra wood near the black lines. Then after I did that, where you see it dips inward, I used a coping saw to saw in near the black line. That makes a deep stop cut. And on this side, it makes I used a coping saw and sawed inward near that black line. That makes another deep stop cut, and also where it dips in at the beak on each side, where it has like a bit of a V right there. Then what I do is I do a V cut, like right there. I go in at an angle, make a V cut all the way down, and then I'll turn it around and make another V cut on this side. And continue on down that line. And you do that at all 4 spots where I made the stop cuts. And then you continue whittling it down up to the black line. So what you got left is it's straight up and down all the way up to that black line. It's coming along quite well. Now I have it up to this point. I've done whittled away all the excess that way to where it's straight up and down all the way around from the cut line. This is a part of wood that I glued on an extra piece because my wood wasn't quite thick enough. So I just glued on a little extra piece. No problem at all. After you get it to this point, then you need the side pattern. Usually what people do is they cut this out with a bandsaw. And when you cut out with the bandsaw, you draw the pattern on the top, and then you cut it out exactly on the line with the bandsaw. And then after that's done, then people take the pieces of wood and you tape it back together into a block, so it becomes a block of wood again. Then you would take the side pattern piece and you'd be laying it on a block of wood. Well, doing it this way, it's a rounded, already cut out shape. So the difference is, this was designed to lay on a straight piece of wood. When you lay it on the curved pieces, as you can see, the wood is longer because of the curves. That's not a problem. You just need to adjust the pattern slightly. I laid it down and I drew the tail. I moved it up here and I traced the beak. Then I kind of looked where it is this way to figure out where the head would be. So I moved it back some. And then I drew it. After I pulled it back some, then I drew it that way. You just kind of have to eyeball it and adjust it slightly. And then you trace around the pattern that way. What you see that's orange is what's left that will be removed. What I'm going to do is take a coping saw, and where there's a big piece of wood here, I'm going to saw a straight line kind of near that black line at an angle down here, and then I'll saw off that extra wood, then turn it up here and use a coping saw and at a straight line saw off some of that excess. Then down here at an angle. I'll saw off that extra wood. And then I will whittle away down to the black line. Very easy to do. Anyone can do this pattern. Now I've gotten it to where the side is cut out as well. All the excess wood is removed. And it looks like that. The first time it was shaped like this, and everything outside was removed up to the line. And then it was the side that was marked out. And then everything was removed from up to that line on the side pattern. So now it kind of looks like this. Sharp lines. So what you do now is you remove those sharp angles and you round it down. And you know, that head looks really wide. And what you do is you make it more like this. Of course, the head is smaller around than the body. So you remove the outside corners of the head here. Make the head of the bird round. And you round off the body. And then when you get that done, all you need to do is sand this very well with coarse sandpaper, medium sandpaper, then fine sandpaper, and extra fine. And then you can finish it with either polyurethane if you prefer. What I'm going to use is an oil, and then after the oil, a couple weeks for the oil to dry into it, then I'm going to finish it with beeswax polish. She is coming along really well. I'm quite happy with her. Susie the Songbird. The comfort bird is now finished. I put a very shallow V-cut around the neck to help define the head from the body. I think she turned out pretty well. I finished her up with oil. Later I'll add some beeswax polish. I'm happy with it.